Again, ladies and gentlemen, we're back. I had to start over. That's life. You're always starting over, right? Anyway, I was doing some cleaning and I found a bunch of books, comic books, art books that I really, really love, and it was kind of wonderful because I didn't know where these were for the longest time, and I felt kind of like, oh crap. This is another one. Maybe I'll back out a little bit. I can preview some of this. So, like, you spend a lot of time, or not time, you spend a lot of money on these, buying these at Comic Cons and what have you. And then I misplaced them, and I thought, oh my god, I spent like $50 or whatever on all these awesome art books, comic books, and I couldn't find them. I thought I left them at the Comic Con or something. I don't know. It's just devastated, and that was like years ago, frankly. And then somehow I found these cleaning, so I was like, woohoo, bonus. So Mobius, and anyone in the comics art world is generally going to know who that is. His name is Jean Girard. He's a French comic book illustrator artist. Couple adult themes in here that I have to be careful not to show, but he's just this really weird, interesting, fun artist that was a massive influence on me when I was young and growing up, and becoming an artist, I guess, if you will. When you're a certain age. I'll zoom in a touch. And this is just a real hodgepodge of his work. It's just all kinds of different stuff that he did. But how I discovered him was through a magazine called Heavy Metal. And I collect heavy metal magazines from the 1970s and early 80s. At some point, the guy who created Teenage Ninja Turtles bought the magazine, and after he did that, it turned out to be all cheesecake and not my cup of tea. Prior to that, though, it was very interesting adult science fiction. When I say adult, I mean adult. There was certainly nudity in adult situations and stuff. But yeah, so anyway, something amazing about his illustration style is the way that he kind of uses the line work. This actually looks a bit like Robert Crumb, actually. There's certain... I'm wondering if maybe Robert Crumb, like he went through like a period of imitating Robert Crumb. He certainly doesn't need to. He's far more advanced and interesting than Robert Crumb. I guess how I look at his work is that it's French science fiction. Like there's just something very, very unique to him. If you look at the artists of the late 70s, early 80s in Europe that were doing comics, they weren't doing Spider-Man, they weren't doing cutesy stuff that, mom and dad would approve of. But, political topics and existential topics, just highly, highly imaginative. So these were kind of the things that filled my youth, the imagination of my... When I say youth, I'm talking adolescent to teenage years. And, a lot of people look back and say, like, oh, I was just a kid, da-da-da. But those, I believe, are, at least for me, extraordinarily formative, especially for my artwork. And so the fact that somehow I discovered these European artists at that most precious time when I was most impressionable is extremely significant. And so now my work is nowhere near as good as a lot of this, but I strive towards it. And so in this book, you're going to see Jean Girard, Mobius, and look at a variety of styles and ideas that he had, that he did. Is a gorgeous painting right there. There's always this topic of like art versus illustration. In one of my old streams, I talked about my college experience and how my first year, my professor looked at my portfolio, and I was certainly, competent and capable. I was one of her best students, but she was kind of a bitch, to be honest, and she always, like, she would make people cry in class, and her parents were psychologists, and she was just a weird person, kind of a cruel person. So she always had to kind of jab you and put you down a little bit somehow. So she would look at my work and say, "You're, oh, it's really good, very illustrative." Like as if that was an insult. Like, and at like 18 or whatever, I'm thinking, what's wrong with being illustrative? Like, I don't understand. Like, what am I doing wrong? And I can be fine arty too, if that's what you like. I can do that too. But anyway, whatever. Just moving on. So, like I said, I kind of ran across this. I discovered, I had lost this book, and so I was so thrilled. Wow, that's awesome. Colin's here. Good to see you, Colin. It's funny. I had 7 viewers, and then 3, and now I have 5. I'm like, whoa. Okay, so anyway, gorgeous work here. And I'd love to do more painting. I would love to do way more of this. It's just kind of I don't know. I'm getting to a place in my life where I don't have to care about money as regards the artwork that I do. So hey, Imperial Crusader, welcome. Great to have you here. So like, I feel like the more that I can separate money from art, the kind of more free I'll be, and I can explore these kinds of thoughts and themes and stuff. I have billions of sketchbooks and stuff that, with a lot of this kind of thing in it, but I don't really show it because they're very unfinished. They're notebooks. They're visual notebooks. Most artists do that. It's just a common kind of thing. But I just sort of love how kind of like traditional European architecture and science fiction fantasy come together, and in a way where the illustrative techniques are all in there, in a sense. So it's quite amazing and wonderful. Color brings a whole other side to it as well. But like, these are very Mobius. These are very Jean Girard kind of pieces. What is this, a space Viking? Yeah. But look at the use of all this kind of like the stippling and the dashes and things in there to create texture and tone and form. It's just something wonderfully sophisticated about it. And there's a certain fun quality to it, like a crazy imaginative quality to it. But then there's this just weirdness to it. Like, I think he's Jean Girard is basically like inscrutable to me in some way. Let's see. Hippocratic Oath is back. Thank you for coming back. Giorgio Vasari's Last Judgment is pretty wild. There's really quite a lot out there. The Italians and the Spanish are also brilliant in that period. Like I say, like 1970s illustration. To me, that's like a golden age. And there were a lot of Filipino guys as well that, of course, they learned everything from the Spanish, but they were very imaginative, and they came into the comics world. I have this theory that they were probably cheaper than American artists, and I don't know, that's maybe a little mean, but they're Nestor Redondo, Alex Nino, Um, um, there's a bunch of them out there. You can look them up. But anyway, yeah, this is just so strange. You know, this it's just this strange world, but it's so, what's the word, like, well thought out. It's so uh, uh, totally imagined, and it and there's a consistency in his work, so that it's just something strange and beautiful. I'm kind of like captivated by it. I kind of can't take my eyes off it. I also have to sort of kind of be careful with the nudity stuff in here, so some of this in here is a little too adult, and I just I just deleted my last my last video in there. But I just kind of wanted to take a tiny break. Well, I'll do some inking in a bit, but I wanted to sort of show this cool stuff that I love. And like I said, I found this in a box as I was cleaning, and I was like, I thought I lost that, you know. Now this piece right here I find really fun, because here you have this kind of, like, you know, some sort of businessman, maybe a lawyer or something, signing some documents, and then under the table this is like a tail, so as if to imply that, like, you know, he's a changeling, or you know, there's something weird going on there that's slightly evil in some way, and so, like, there's a story in there, you know what I'm saying. Also, Jean Girard's work's very colorful. I think this is one of the kind of fun things about him. There's a definite oddball sense of humor to a lot of his work. Here's a good example. I mean, it's dreamlike. I'll tell you, there is an interview with him where, I don't know. Okay, so he was going to work with Alejandro Jodorowsky on the Dune film. That film got scrapped, but excuse me, who's the director that did Dune? Twin Peaks, Mulholland Drive. Come on, help me out here. What's the damn name? I forget. You guys will know who I'm talking about. But anyway, that film got made. Unfortunately, Jean Girard's designs didn't work. Yeah, David Lynch. Thank you. I hate when I blank out like that. It pisses me off. Anyway, so, like, this is just, yeah, David Lynch. So this is just something in that weird world of imagination, something kind of alien. He seems to use a lot of these kind of, like, oh, I don't know, the sort of, like, European explorer type characters in these strange new lands. But anyway, he went to Mexico, or I don't know, I think it was either Mexico or maybe Arizona, to work, I think, on designs for this film and get a sense of the landscape. Anyway, he either dropped acid or took shrooms, or he did some kind of psychedelics that were very strong, and it was the first time he had ever done that. And then, you know, he talked about it and how it just tore open his imagination, and he, for the rest of his career, he was kind of trying to express these sort of alien landscapes, these desertscapes, these bizarre kind of ideas that he has. There's something where you kind of feel alienated in a weird way, like modern man, you know, trying to figure out where he belongs in between, you know, nature and science, I guess, you know, stuff like this. This is kind of a nice piece here. So yeah, I don't know. And his line work's very simple too. Like, it's not these weird, heavy. I don't know. It's not like my line work, I guess. It's kind of just very light, and but then he uses a lot of those hatching qualities to create texture. His use of color, I think, is really sophisticated. Let's see if I can back out of this a bit. David Lynch's Baron. I'm reading Hippocratic Oath. He says David's Baron Harkonnen and Third Stage Guild Navigator creeped me out big time, big time. Yeah, that's part of what I love about that film is just how weirdly nightmarish it is. It's weird though too, right? Because like you wouldn't. Isn't it odd about humor in science fiction how if it's if it's in art, it's or film or literature, somehow it's like so engaging and fascinating. But if it were real life, you'd be like, I guess we have this bizarre fascination with these things like horror, I suppose, science fiction, different worlds. It's just quite interesting. He's really a deft painter too. Like you look closely at the use of light and color. Again, this sort of like classical European themes. This almost looks like something in the opera. And like I said, this book's a hodgepodge of a lot of different work that Jean Girard has done. Let's see here. Colin says, sounds a bit like the Castaneda books. Excellent point. That's a very, very good point. I'd be curious to know if Mobius read Carlos Castaneda. That's an interesting question. Well, this is stunning. This is a stunning piece. The classic heavy metal magazine artwork here. So, a lot of kind of who I am as an artist in some ways are kind of traced back to this. I went through many years of being influenced by Asian art, and that was a thing that meant a lot to me for a long time. And then I sort of did that and moved on, kind of. And I feel like I'm kind of coming back to, my origins, I suppose. So once again, like this sort of curious fascination with these other cultures and all of that. So it's really neat. Let's see what else I got for you here. Oh, that's trippy. So Alejandro Jodorowsky, just one of the most tripped out filmmakers and artists, philosophers you could ever know. He worked with Mobius on a number of comics that are pretty imaginative, pretty wild. I guess I would recommend looking that up. So this is one of Mobius's famous pieces right there. This always kind of grossed me out, and but you couldn't take your eyes off it either, though. It was sort of just where does he get these ideas? I think this is kind of funny. No doubt about it. It's bronchitis. So it's just, it has like a weird, kind of funny sense of humor to it. Various comics that he did. Some people might think it's slightly over-rendered or something in some cases. I don't think so. I think it's pretty well balanced. But there you go. That was a major score for me. Finding those books. I don't go to Comic-Cons very often anymore, but when I do, I look for this kind of stuff. Haven't bought a comic book in, I don't even know. It's been I like the Comicsgate stuff, but I'm talking about like Marvel, DC. And there you go. Staying hydrated. You guys staying hydrated for World War III? Yeah. Actually, I lied. I did get this recently. This is really fun. So I posted a poll on Twitter recently saying, what's more important, entertainment? What's more important in like comics, entertainment, and film, and this, and these kind of things? Is it entertainment, or that there's a kind of a lesson or a moral or something that you learn at the end? Like you watch The Matrix or even Star Wars, and there's a pretty profound, you walk away with something, you feel kind of changed, or you grew in some way, you learned something. And not a ton of people answered the poll, but most of them were entertainment. And I think for me, I see it that entertainment serves the purpose of teaching. That's how kind of my philosophy, like edutainment. Tony Fu is here. Welcome, Tony. Great to have you. The minimalist line drawings, especially of large landscapes with small figures, reminds me of the Eastern Zen drawings a bit. Absolutely, especially Japanese painting. There's Dogen Zenji. Have you ever heard of Dogen Zenji? So Dogen Zenji is one of Japan's greatest Zen philosophers, a monk, of course. And he did extremely simple paintings that were just like a couple strokes. And that was considered like the essence of Zen. And the idea of like man being, and this goes back to the like Chinese painting, that man is a part of nature and not sort of above it, I guess, or separate from it. I wouldn't, above, that's kind of, so it's funny you should mention that. So here's my book, and one of the pieces in here, I have to go to the fine art section. This right here is actually a detail from a painting I did when I lived in Taiwan. And I used it's on like nice rice paper, and we use the bamboo brush, etc. I've got like tons of real nice Chinese landscape painting materials at home. But anyway, here I'm combining Eastern and Western in certain sense, where the figure is more important, I guess, and nature and humans kind of intertwine in the narrative more, I guess. So yeah, if you are interested, Imperium Calling, you can find it on Amazon, and I'll put the link to that in the show notes. It's also at my website. So now, should I keep talking? I could go over this a bit. I think this would be fun, and then maybe get into some art. Some years ago, I really want to say who, but I don't want to I don't want to imply him with me, but I know one of the guys in Comicsgate personally. We actually live nearby each other. And I went to his house for a meeting of the National Cartoonist Society. This is quite a while ago, when I was just starting out in comics. And he's a seasoned professional. He's a conservative, but we don't quite have the same politics, so I don't want to, like, give him any shade in terms of, like, I don't know how to put this. Like, okay, so I'm far right, he's right wing. The left will come out and associate him with me, and then he'll get harassed by the left. So I don't want to do that to him, so I'm not going to name him. I adore him. I think he's a fabulous guy in so many ways. But anyway, I got this book at his studio. And you can imagine when you're just starting out in comics and stuff, and you get to go to the studio of a pro artist who's worked for Marvel and DC, that you would be like, whoa, like it was a pretty phenomenal experience for me. And then to be able to walk away with one of these cool books that, this is essentially like all of these cartoonists are, you know, in a way it's like an American history book, with all these guys. So I'm not this kind of cartoonist. I don't even think of myself as a cartoonist. I'm an illustrator artist. So sometimes I do illustrations, sometimes I do fine arts, but I almost never do cartoons. I do some caricatures. I will do, and I have done caricatures. That's not my real passion in life. Like, it's a nice way to make money, but I never had the idea that, like, oh, this is my career. Political cartoons are pretty cool. I think they're just great. Um, I don't have that, like, ability to make cutesy, funny, quick jokes like you'd see in a newspaper or like that in the old days. I'm more into, cool narratives. But regardless, this is still fun and neat. So yeah, just a little neat thing to share with you there. Ethan Van Sciver, no. I'm a big fan of Ethan, big supporter. I guess, even if it were him, I would lie, I guess. But so, like, I'm not gonna say who it is, out of respect. Like, I guess I can say that, like, there was something that happened on Twitter not too long ago where I just was, saying, complimenting his art and his stuff, and I didn't know that he was trolled by, like, creepy leftist assholes. And so one or two of them made a few comments to me, just saying typical dumb shit that they say, and I was stupid enough to engage. I shouldn't have engaged. And then they piled on. They went and tagged all their idiot friends in, and they all came in, and then they're like, oh, they just made a huge scene out of it. And how do I say, like, I needed to kind of disassociate myself with this particular guy. So it's kind of how it is. So anyway, can you guys hear the music? Do you want me to turn it up a little bit? Are you good? It's just kind of a synthwave vibe going on. This is like a 2-page spread. Never feed the trolls. Yeah. Oh God. Yeah, hugely. And I should know better, honestly. I mean, I've been down that road enough to know. But I have this terrible, I don't know what to call it. It's like I can't live a lie, and I really, sometimes people will say things that are just grotesquely false, and I'll get in there and say something to correct them. They're like, oh, here's some data, here are some facts. Here we go. So, the poor guy had to kind of disavow me. Or, like, I don't know that he didn't, like, disavow me, but they kept calling on him, like, whatever. I think it pretty much said all that needs to be said about that. But I'm kind of on my own out here. Minus people watching me. putting some speed lines on this here. See what's going on in your world up here. So I hear it. It's good. Compulsion for Truth. That is the name of our new band, Tony. Compulsion for Truth. Holy cow. That is, yeah, it's gotta be, I don't know, I think in the New World Order, Compulsion for Truth is gonna be considered a psychological disorder, and they're gonna have some kind of like medicine for that, where, you know, if you don't stop your compulsion for the truth, then, you know, they'll have to put you in a cage or do some kind of horrible procedure. But it's, yeah, I mean, that's it, right? That's the whole thing, is like, just don't speak the truth, because then you put a target on you, you know? Don't speak the truth. And that's an interesting thing. I was just watching an interview with one of these kind of conservative incorporated normie guys. I forget his name. He's not that bad, but he's having a conversation with some woman about whatever, I guess like gender pronouns. And she's saying to him, like, you know, how hard is it to just, you know, use their pronouns? Like, it's just a word, you know? It's just, all you got to do is, you know, just go along. Just use the words we're enforcing on you. So one thing is don't say the truth. The other thing is make sure to say the lies. Otherwise you're evil. And that's how fucked up it is. You know, everything's so fucked up. So, but as we're, you know, getting into sort of phase, whatever the next phase is, of the end of the world, apparently you really have to watch out for this stuff, you know? So what I'm drawing here is the MAGA force has kind of like broken into this warehouse. It's the classic superhero warehouse scene, you know, where the bad guys are amassing weapons and getting ready for some kind of revolution or something. And so the good guys are in there to take them down, you know, and so they're being shot at, and, you know, they're just, you know, it's time to jump into action here. So that's what's happening in this part of the story. Compulsion for Truth, I love that. It's great. Truth is compulsory. There you go. Truth is compulsory. Wow. That's an interesting thought. So speaking of Comicsgate, I did do a Kickstarter project with John Delarose. If you go to my site, you will see Dynamite Thor. You'll see some pages from that. We got shadow banned by Kickstarter because the bad guys contacted Kickstarter and they said, you know, you're working with a Nazi, and, you know, shut it down. And so what happened is I didn't really make any good money off of that because of the way that it got shut down, or shadow banned. So shadow banned is, it's on the Kickstarter site, but it's not searchable. And I think there might be a question in some people's minds as to, like, well, why would you continue, you know, how does it benefit you, or why would you continue to be in this movement where you're abused and this kind of shit goes on? And I don't know. I guess I see things in such a way as like there are those that are aggressively, you know, killing America, the West, targeting whites, etc. There are those who haven't figured it out yet, um, whose inaction is kind of an action. It's a type of, I don't know how to say, like that. Those they're dormant, I suppose, is how I would say it, and that's what our enemies want. You know, just they're just playing a waiting game essentially. You know, how do I put this? Like, you will be replaced. Don't do anything. Don't stand up. Don't try. Don't talk. Don't produce culture. Da 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 da. And in time, you will disappear. You know, your civilization will. And here's the thing. It's like, what's coming after that will affect everyone on Earth, and regardless of race. The problems we face are beyond race. You know what I'm saying? Um, Agenda 21, United Nations, all of these things, transhumanism. These things are, you know, that's why I've always thought how great it would be if people could collaborate with us, but they hate us so much that they won't do that. You know, it's terrible. It's tough out there. Anyway, gotta grab this old boy. A lot of different tools you need, and my son wrote some funny things on this when I was a kid. He couldn't expel at that age, but anyway, just keep going here. What are you guys talking about up here? Still chilling? So my intent with this is to have it digitally colored, and as such, there's a lot that I'm not rendering because I know that the colorist will do that work. The lighting in here, I mean, I have implications of shadows and things of that nature. I think I could beef it up. I could beef the shadows up a lot more, but how do I say, like, digital coloring in comics is, you know, it's huge. It sells the image. It sells the image like profoundly. Plus, there's gonna be like, you know, captions and sound effects, and it's gonna be a busy image, even though, you know, there seems to be some dead spaces and stuff. Like, you know, something like that's gonna have like Thoom, you know, or something of that nature. So yeah, that's what it is. So I kind of skipped ahead onto issue 2 because I think I was just excited and impatient. But I have to go back and kind of tighten up. There's just all these little bits like the architecture and stuff that's got to get done. So I'm just kind of doing the grunt work on these. I'm just hanging with you guys. I don't know if I need to zoom in more. You want me to zoom in? I can at least show you the page here like that. So here's another thing I've been contemplating. There's this sense of like, well, finish what you started and then move on to the next thing. So like that's goes without saying. Like it's pretty obvious, you know. But, you know, here comes the big but. That was a joke, big but. Anyway, Um, I have this new script that I'm working on that I'm very excited about. And this one here is definitely relevant to what's going on. You guys don't know it because you haven't read the story, but I know, you know. And as such, it still fulfills that kind of need or purpose to make art that's relevant and, you know, has like cultural and political impact or significance. Um, but you know, things have escalated so much since this war in Israel, and that being the case, it's changed the paradigm of what's happening, what's coming. So, hence the new script. It's very much related to that, but not like explicitly so much. And then, like I was saying, the crisis facing the world is really beyond the racial dimension. You know, obviously, that's what we're concerned about in our community. But I don't know. It's it is what it is. So, something interesting recently, I have a Palestinian friend at my job, and we have uh, obviously been talking about what's going on. I knew he was Middle Eastern, but I didn't know what culture, whatever. He's Christian, he's not Muslim. Um, um, and so we've just been having really incredible conversation about what's going on. So that's been really neat. Um, I mean, it's not like I don't know, you know, his perspective or the crisis of the Palestinian people, but you know, we both know a lot about Jewish power, Zionism, hegemony, all these things, you know, that most people still don't get or are in some kind of cloud, propaganda cloud. So it's been really interesting talking with him. I kind of feel like, I'll be honest, I told him, you know what, you should make sure you wear a cross visibly, you know, in the coming time. You know, it probably would be wise. I don't know what is gonna happen in the coming time, but you know, that's what it is. This marker's getting a little dry. So, what'd you guys think of the comics and stuff that I showed you earlier in the show? Was that kind of fun? Some good stuff in there. I guess, I mean, when I do comics like this kind of stuff, it's intended to look comic booky, you know, that I'm using the style, the techniques. I would say actually that people recognize that my style is rooted in I don't know, like Silver Age, is that it? No, Bronze Age comics. Because modern comics are highly stylistic. A good example, actually, quickly, let me show you real quick. If I can. Of course, they disappear when you need them. Okay, so this is a fun story right here. And if you look at the art style, it's very cartoony. Like, this is super cartoony. But it's fun, though. It makes it fun. And that's not to say that it's still highly illustrative, or that it has really cool illustrative qualities to it. But that's super cartoony right there. You know what I mean? I don't mean like Walt Disney style. Like, that's got a cool quality to it. But and I wouldn't say like anime cartoony. I don't think I could say that. But like these absurdly over exaggerated arms and stuff. This is good fun. Like, this is the fun stuff right here, you know. And what I particularly like about it is this is the original Guardians of the Galaxy, not like the one you see in the movie. You know, very cartoony looking faces and stuff, whereas my work is more rooted in something that is kind of going back to that. You see what I'm saying? The brushiness of it, the anatomy of it. You know, I think for me this is, I don't want to say better, but I guess it's just kind of what I kind of identify with. You know, I guess I sort of grew up on it. I'm not a fan of Steve Ditko, though. Some people would hate me for that. But quite different, right? I mean, it's pretty interesting. Anyway, let's just move on here. Imperial Crusader says, oh wait, first of all, Tony Fu says overly high contrast. That's a good, I think that works in some way. I don't know about overly, but I don't know. Good question, though. Imperial Crusader says, speaking of cartoons, thoughts on Avatar: The Last Bender? That's interesting, because the average person might say, like, oh, well, it's just some kid's cartoon. But there's actually a lot more to it than that. It wasn't, the dude who created it was not Chinese, or, you know, he doesn't, I would say that he is very knowledgeable about a lot of elements of Chinese philosophy, kung fu, these types of things. In Taoism, in Qigong, there is you use the alchemy of the elements of water, fire, earth, air, and so, you know, all I have to say is, like, the guy knows his stuff. Like, I was fairly impressed at how knowledgeable he was in designing the story, the characters. You know, it's kind of, you know, it's fun, it's for kids, it's got that fun anime culture to it. That's fine, you know. I'm not an anime guy. I never, it's weird. People think, like, oh, well, you know, you lived in Japan and da da da. But it's just not my cup of tea. I would say I like some anime. But anyway, to answer that question better, I guess I would say that there are some really deep concepts that are in there, and they're how do I say, literary devices for the story. And I would hope that people could actually maybe do some research on the actual ideas of how these elements are used, you know. Um, so there's that. Trying to find the vanishing point here. Hold on a second. The animation is certainly beautiful. You know, it's cool. I've had a lot of students, art students, that were just like totally crazy about it. You know, um, being a guy that actually does kung fu and qigong, I think I might be slightly snobby about, you know, like, oh well, it's not a cartoon. It's not some goofy thing. It's kind of like whenever you talk about qigong, everybody makes the joke about Dragon Ball Z and making the chi ball, you know. And you know, I have a sense of humor. I can laugh at that, but you do make a chi ball in some kinds of qigong, and I do that as well. I don't do it all the time, but it's something that I've been doing more of in my own practice. It's one of the essential abilities from which you can then segue into hermetic practices. So, you know, it's sort of like anytime you say like, oh yeah, I do martial arts or I do kung fu, and then right away people start going, everybody was kung fu fighting, ha 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 ha, and then they make a joke about it because they don't know how to talk about it. They other than to joke about it, you know. And you gotta have a little sense of humor and say, oh yeah, haha, that's funny. But it just sort of demonstrates like, well, it is what you can't expect people to know these things, you know. So I shouldn't be a snob about it. I shouldn't be so serious about it. And as a result, I will give Avatar a thumbs up. Okay. I guess it's like the old David Carradine TV show Kung Fu. Um, that was actually created by Bruce Lee, but he was sort of kicked off the project because he's Asian, and they didn't think that America was ready for an Asian hero or something. Um, and there you go. I think for me, as far as anime goes, um, Ghost in the Shell is my favorite. Um, I think there's things about Akira that I love. I'm not an anime guy, and I know that there's more a lot more movies than those two. Um, it's funny because like, you know, especially as an art teacher, I would ask my students like, why are you into all this Japanese stuff? You know that there's like American cartoons and comics and stuff, and we've got a great, you know, history of this. And half of them are like, well, it's just something I grew up with, and the other half are, oh no, it's better because it's Japanese, you know. And I'm like, that's not really good for our culture in that sense to think of it that way. Which I could speak a lot on. Let's see. I'm going back into comments. Hippocratic Oath. Still love that name. Great name. Keep your style. It works. South Park's Korean slave artists offered to update the art style, but Matt and Trey stayed with the original paper cutout look. That's hilarious that you should say that. That was perfectly done right there, my man. Tony Fu says Avatar hit the sweet spot of esoteric and approachability. Man, you are hitting the nail on the head, my bro. That is so perfectly said. And honestly, every artist creator is really struggling for that sweet spot. So man, oh man, you hit it on the head. Uh, Rich Tiger, 31er. I almost read that Reich Tiger. I think Reich Tiger sounds cool. Anyway, good to have you here, man. I think this is the first time I've seen you. Welcome to the community here. Colin says Kung Fu literally translated means working hard. So it's more of a way than a destination. Colin, do you do Kung Fu? Have you practiced or learned any Kung Fu? So Kung Fu is like, okay, in Chinese the word 工作 means job. You know, like 你的工作是什么? That would be like, what's your job? You know, where do you work? That's everything. Of course, you have to, you know, use the English translation. It's not literal. It's not a literal translation. But so Fu is kind of like work discipline. Um, in Kung Fu, they even have things just called what we would say is a gong, which would be like a focus. That could be like the one guy that like does one punch 1,000 times, and that's his go-to. This is gong, you know. But you are correct with the translation, and I don't know. So the use of the elements in Kung Fu and Qigong, highly advanced stuff. It's over my head in some ways. I can't say that I'm that advanced. I've worked and known people who are. That is to say that, for example, if there's something about your style or technique or energy that is, say, very water oriented, that has like the water element, then a martial approach, a kung fu approach to that would be, well, okay, I will use earth against you. I'll use an earth style technique or energy, and that will muddy your technique. So you can see how that would work. Whereas if you're, you know, let's say you're using earth, some kind of, again, earth technique, earth energy, someone might say, oh, okay, I see, I notice you're using earth, so I'm going to use air. And then that will counteract what it is. Now, that is extremely, extremely esoteric, high-level stuff that only my teachers know. The level I'm at is more on the animal level. So I'll give you an example. Years ago, I met an artist in the comic book world who was also a martial artist. And he did a sort of Korean style kung fu. I'm not very knowledgeable about Korean arts, so don't ask me about that. But I had him over to spar, and we had a fabulous session. Like, it was just so much fun and so cool. Super guy. Anyway, he knew his animals, and so we're going at it. We're sparring, and I switched into Tiger to kind of overwhelm him, and then he switched to Tiger, and I thought, you know, like, and what happened as a result was that it neutralized me. It neutralized my approach, techniques, etc. And so I thought, shit, you know, I gotta now I have to kind of neutralize him, you know. So I switched to Snake, and Snake is, you know, I guess like if Tiger would be fire, Snake would be water. And so it was kind of like throwing a bucket of water on his fire. And then I was able to overcome him. And then he saw what I was doing, oh shit, and so then he switched to Snake. And, you know, like, it was so, I mean, all I gotta tell you is it's just so cool. It was really, really neat. We kind of had I don't know what to call, like a stalemate or something, you know, where you're kind of equal, I guess. You can't, like, defeat each other. Pretty neat stuff. So Colin says, Reichstiger. That's such a great name. I'm gonna have to create a superhero called Reichstiger. That'd be very cool. In honor of Rich Tiger, naturally. He'll have like a 31er on his chest as a logo. So with an S between the two words, because it's a genitive, normative, normal, nominal composite. Whose tiger is it? The Reichs or the? This is getting a grammar lesson here. Jeez, man, you're making me think too hard. So I'm just goofing around. Anyway, neat stuff. So what do you do when someone just keeps copying your technique or your style? They keep mirroring you. Well, it would be a lot like how in boxing, for example, someone does like a little routine where it's jab jab punch or jab feint punch or something, whatever, like a little combo, and then someone else would look at that and think, oh yeah, you think you're better than me, I can do that combo too. And they get into this childish type of jab jab punch, and they do the same combo. And there's a kind of I don't know what to call it, but like you're sort of trying to outwit your opponent when you're sparring. Um, Boy, this music is perfect. You're trying to outwit your partner when you're sparring. What do you do when they use the snake technique? Da-da-da. Anyway, maybe I'll start my own kung fu show. Anyway, maybe I'll zoom in on this so you guys can see better what I'm trying to do here. So let's get back to the topic here. So if the person is just kind of mimicking you, then it becomes more like predictable, When you know that it's jab jab punch, then you just break the rhythm of it, I don't know how else to say, like you kind of lead them into thinking that you're going to do snake, and they go into snake, and then you switch to, I don't know, dragon, mantis, something, whatever feels right at the time. I don't know if I'm making sense to you guys, but neat stuff. It's issues recently that stopped me from my weekly sparring, but looking to get back into that very soon. And I found another dude on the scene who has like multiple different martial arts styles that he's done. Sweet guy, real, just like a good dude. I know him just from like the dance scene, and just a fun guy. And somehow or other we got to talking, and martial arts came up. And then he went on to explain, oh yeah, I do ABCD, I do all these different styles. And I mean, I don't know how good he is at them, how long he's done them, but he's definitely a guy into martial arts. Like he's clearly got some knowledge. So we'll see how it goes. But I'm trying to reach out to him to get him in on it. The thing that's driving me nuts is that last time I saw him out, I'm like, okay, dude, this is the time and place where we meet to spar, and we can't wait to have you come join us. And so give me your number, So I'm at the club. It's noisy, It's just like there's a lot going on, and he gives me his number. I punch it into my computer, my phone, and I'm thinking like, great, excellent, I got you. We're good to go. I'll call you, da da da. And when it comes time, well, later that night, I noticed that I had my phone on, what do you call that? It's the airplane mode. And so the phone did not save the number. Oh, shit, So it was like, not only did I lose out on, now I have to like wait until I run into him again. But when the day came to spar, I never called him, and I said I would. That drives me nuts. I'm like, if I say I'm gonna fucking do something, I'm gonna do it. Like, I hate people that waste my time with, like, yeah, let's do that thing, and then they don't follow through. Like, to me, that's one of the most annoying things in the world. Why lead me on? Like, what do you get out of that? It's annoying. So I cannot be that guy. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, we'll hook up eventually. It'll all come together at some point. But just two dudes on the scene, so we'll run into each other. But I can't really remember what styles he said. I know it's Wing Chun is definitely one. Capoeira, which I've sparred some capoeira people. It's very, I would say it's a pretty hard to spar capoeira. A lot of it is just the way that it's taught is a bit more as like a dance, a form of dance. On the other hand, I should tell you a story. I used, when I ran a sparring club, years ago. One of the guys in the group was he was from Chile, and he was a native. I don't know what tribe he was from, but kind of a native of Chile. Tall guy, long black hair, good heart, good spirit. At least as what I thought. Like, I came to find out later that he's joined Antifa. Years later, I found that out, and I'm like, fuck. But like, if you're native, I guess you're by default, Marxist. Apparently now that seems to be the requirement to get funding or something. I don't know. Being a little rude, I don't. Native people are not Antifa. I have respect for Native people, but I'm just annoyed that this guy took that path, especially since I thought so highly of him at the time. But anyway, back to the story. So he did capoeira and in Chile, which kind of makes sense. It's from South America. But he also, like, he moved to New York City and he joined some form of karate school. So he had this kind of fascinating mixture of karate and capoeira. Wow, how crazy is that? It was pretty crazy. I'm going to check the comments real quick here. We got Mapper is here. Welcome, Mapper. Good to have you. Hi there. Quick question. What is your favorite country? That's a heck of a question. How do I answer that? I'll get to Hippocratic Oath in a second. What's my favorite country? I think from my perspective, I would firstly say that I am for my people. I don't, loving your race doesn't mean you hate other races. I've lived in other countries. I lived in Asia for 5 years. I've traveled in the Caribbean. I love other cultures in terms of like music and arts and fun, cool stuff. Da da da. So I, I don't think that I would do well in like Muslim countries. I think I would certainly say that for starters. How can I answer that question? I can't. I don't think I can say that I have a favorite country, but I think that if and when I ever make it to Europe, I'll. It'll be hard to come back to America. It'll be very. I think that I would fall in love with Europe, and it just would be very hard to come back. So now, Western Europe versus Eastern Europe, tough question. Um, I'm kind of honestly, I don't, as much as I am Irish, I don't think I would actually be happy in Ireland, largely because I don't drink. And I know that sounds kind of crazy, but it, like drinking is such an important part of that culture. Um, I think that, you know, uh, man, I never really thought about this, so it's really hard to answer that question. What's my favorite country in Asia? I could, that'd be an easier question. Although it's really impossible to answer because you've got just, so many differences and unique qualities. Dude, I'm gonna have to think about that, man. I just can't really answer it right now. But maybe you can give me a little more detail to the question. So anyway, Hippocratic Oath. Pei Mei was defeated by poisoned fish heads from his own student. His kung fu was no good. Ugh, yeah. in I mean, I don't know huge amounts about this, but I've heard many, many, many stories in Chinese history and kung fu history about assassinations and students and teachers, and all the various different things that went down throughout history, the triads. It's pretty serious over there. It's pretty serious stuff. um, and yeah, schools, teachers, they do that. They will try to assassinate each other and stuff. Or they have in history. There's a belief that that's how Bruce Lee was that Bruce Lee was actually killed by the triads through poison. Um, I had a Jeet Kune Do teacher who kind of subscribed to that notion. The idea being that you don't give away Chinese martial arts secrets to the White Warren, to the Cow Eyes. I have no proof, evidence of that whatsoever. I'm just saying it's like a thing that's out there, conspiracy theory or whatever. And I don't honestly sort of engage in those kind of questions or debates. Could be true. Kind of digging this synthwave stuff, dudes. I think I might do that more, because I use a lot of classical music. Been doing jazz, and but there's just something kind of more fun about this. Let's see what I'm doing here. It's one of the tricky bits about doing comics is drawing things that are far away, that are small and indistinct. Um, you have to use less information and somehow focus more on like the shape of things and stuff. What is my favorite country? Gosh, what a crazy question. It's an interesting question, but I just don't feel like I know how to answer it. Um, let's say, like, what are things that I like about a country? I guess, I mean, maybe that will help me. So, obviously, I love America. I mean, it's my country, But there's a hell of a lot I don't like about America that I could, whine about or some shit. I'm not going to do that. But yeah, I'm I'm kind of like I'm an Anglophile. I feel like the British, like I'd like to live in England. I'd like to live in Scotland. Um, part of my ancestry is French, and I have this like silly fantasy of living like not Van Gogh, Edgar Degas, and painting in the and beautiful gardens and this kind of it's very much a type of a fantasy that I think I got from when I got my master's degree. Um, Although I would love to go to Germany, I couldn't see myself actually living there. Um, Here's the other thing: is just the whole like living in the cold. Like Scotland, England, Ireland. That's like Canada here. You know what I mean? And like it's just cold. It'd be really cold. So I feel like that would wear on me. Um, um, I actually almost uh, went to northern India at one point. I had a real huge fascination with Nepal, and there was a long period in my life where I was studying Tibetan Buddhism, and I knew Tibetan people from where I lived in New York City and teaching English and all that stuff. Um, and so one of the people that I knew is a guy that ran a Tibetan bookstore. He was saying, if you want to do some good, you should go to Dharamsala, which is the seat of the Tibetan government in northern India. And I mean, I didn't go. I actually started learning like Tibetan. Hung out with this monk for a little bit. Just took some basic lessons in the alphabet and just to I mean, this is years before I became racially enlightened. Um, and that doesn't mean that those two things are opposite each other. Um, I think it's interesting. Actually, there's a huge connection because the Tibetans are under the threat of genocide through communism. Well, now who's under the threat of genocide through globalism, which is communism 2.0? You see where I'm going with that? Like that's a horrifying realization. Um, yeah, interesting question though. What's your favorite country? There you go. That's actually an interesting question. So we got a lot of chat going on up here. What's happening? Uh, Sage is here. Welcome, Sage. I burn sage, white sage. It's part of my practices, but it also helps to purify the air. I just subbed. Awesome sauce. Welcome, Sage. Tell us a little bit about. Are you a comics guy, Sage? Are you where are you at? What do you into comic skate, or how did you find my channel? That would be an interesting thing. I've been looking at the what do you call it? The stats or the analytics, and there's actually a lot of people that just discover me. It's kind of cool. Wolf Noir. That I believe I'm saying it correct. Is a very cool name. Dark Wolf. Welcome, Dark Wolf. Wolf Noir. To be honest, your channel is way too underrated. Oh, gosh, what a great dude. Thanks, man. I needed that. You know, there's those try to shut you down, and those that try to lift you up. So God bless you, man. I appreciate that. Thanks for subbing. Hollandier is back. Hollandier, dude. We have to set a date for when you're going to be on my channel. I don't think we've done that yet, so if you want to give me a time, I'm very flexible up until Wednesday next week. Monday night I will be on Yiz's show. It's called what's it called? Discordant Dragons. That's around 6 p.m. And then on Tuesday I'm interviewing the head of patrioticarts.com. It's a British white art collective. So I'm kicking off more interviews and more fun shows, all arts related. So hook me up, man. Tell me when. You don't have to do it right now in the chat, but like just reach out to me. Let's try to get you on soon. Anyway, what else have we got here? I'm still kind of fascinated with that question about what's your favorite country. I would never even think to ask myself that, but I will tell you, when I was in my undergrad, I belonged to the international. I forget the name of it. It's essentially the International Culture Club of the college that I went to. And when belong, I wasn't on like a committee or anything, but what I did is I just went to every culture night that they had. So if it was Caribbean night or West Africa night or Asia night or whatever it was, I would always go to those, and they had like really cool cultural performances, cool music, and food, like crazy amounts of homemade food by the foreign students. My brother actually went to the same college for a while, and he lived in the international dorm. Excuse me. So that was also kind of a neat thing. I remember I dated a girl from Australia who was in the international dorm. That was a nice college memory. So what else does this page need? Let's see. I kind of have the basics. I think I'm gonna maybe move on. I think I got pretty much everything done. I will have to erase the pencil lines, but excuse me. Let's see what else is going down. Get back to this. So just a quick look at my book, Imperium Calling, The Art and Poetry of Donald Kent. Give you a tiny look at that. And in fact, maybe I'll read a little poetry for you guys from the book. All right. New Zarathustra. Tall walks Zarathustra, a gleam in his eye. The more they try to kill him, the more he'll never die. Through storms of heartache, trauma, and betrayal. His will to power has grown stronger to prevail. He is the Hyperborean, the Scythian, the Roman, exuding the light of Apollo's sun glowing. Stand up, my people, stand up with glee. Your ancestors awaken from within thee. Stand up, my people, stand up and behold. A new story of glory is about to be told. Stand up, my people, prepare for a feast. The solar sword falls the double-headed beast. Stand up, my people, and decorate your hearth. Remember and celebrate your inborn worth. Men, your morality earns women's loyalty. Together you shall sire a generation of royalty. Come not hither with faces sullen nor sour. Our destiny is as the long hand to the hour. Reach higher into heavenly height, never entangled by plebeians so trite. Yours is the fierce lion to ride with the pride, none but ourselves, our future to decide. Stand up, my people, stand up with glee. Your ancestors awaken from within thee. Stand up, my people, stand up and behold. A new story of glory is about to be told. Stand up, my people, prepare for a feast. The solar sword falls, the double-headed beast. Stand up, my people, and decorate your hearth. Remember and celebrate your inborn worth. Take heart and let Eden's snake go slither. Mine enemy's envy will cause him to wither. Now take to the land, the sea, and the sky. Never again apologize for the color of your eye. Blue and green, as in all nature's design. From the modern world, you now may resign. For modern is a label the truth finds libel, and God is ineffable beyond any Bible. Remember now, before your past was obscured, remember the music your ancestors heard. Remember our blood for victories won, your imprisonment as a goyim has come undone. Imperium Calling, the art and poetry of Donald Kemp. So, there you go. That was a little... tell you, that was the best commercial I ever made right there. Anyway, let's move on. You know what I miss? I miss Nullis's poetry show. This son of a gun. That son of a gun. I'm gonna have to get on him. Nullis is a super close friend of mine. By the way, I don't know who here knows who Nullis is. Nullis is on abnormocracy.com. He is a well-known guy within the White Art Collective. His focus is poetry. But also he writes political essays. He's got a Substack. There's really just crazy amounts of cool stuff I could tell you about him. He co-hosted my show Imperium Art. I co-hosted his show, talking Conversations with the Wind. So let's take a look at the chat. Hollandier, the action in your drawings are great. How long have you drawn comics? Sheesh. Oh my God. You know what I could do? I could show you some comics that I drew when I was like in 3rd grade. Where is that? Oh my God. It's across the room. I can see it right now. So 3rd grade, my man. Should I pull those out? Oh my God. That would be funny. I think I might do that. I'll have to hide my real name. My real name is Mortimer McSchnerd. Yes, I'm finally. Doc says, we do. I'm getting better. Your streams are helping me keep insane. Wow, God bless you. See, it's not all shit posting. It's not all rallies in the streets. You know what I mean? It's about this. It's about us. It's about friendship, camaraderie. You know, because we're going through we're going through a lot. You know what I mean? So you know, and I mean, this is just a real modest show. I'm not like super politically active or what. You know, not as much as I was, and I don't think I ever was politically active. Like I said, I don't do rallies and that kind of stuff. I've tried, you know, but there was just too many obstacles. Anyway, we're here now. It's all good, and I'm gonna keep producing these shows. I got 5 issues to go of just this story, let alone other stories. So this is pretty much my life, you know. And sure would be lonely if you guys weren't here. So thanks for coming, and there's more to come. Sounds good. So Tony Fu. So every time I see the name Tony Fu, I'm thinking it sounds like Kung Fu. So Tony, have you done Kung Fu? Do you know anything about that? Gotta go. Oh, he says gotta go. Great stuff. See you soon. Good, man. We'll see you again. My channel is here. Welcome my channel to my channel. YouTube is promoting live streamers directly through the Shorts interface for the last week. I gotta make more shorts, dude. Oh, dude, I gotta get into the marketing thing more. So yeah, thanks for letting me know, and I'm glad you're here. Hollandier says, hell yeah. Colin, I feel like I'm saying your name wrong, but that's the English way, I guess. Nullis is a great guy. Once did a podcast with him. Oh, very cool. Absolute blast. He really is funny, intelligent, graceful. Like he's very warm-hearted. Anyway, fabulous dude. Hollander says Nullis is incredibly inspiring. He's like a billows with his words. Yeah, I mean Nullis he's Nullis, you know. He likes to talk, you know, but he's a good talker and he knows a lot. There's different kinds of people with different ways and styles. He's mostly explicitly learned. I'm not sure what explicitly learned means, but I'm totally going to use that at parties because it's going to make me sound intelligent. All right, I'm going to grab my old comics I did as a kid, and this is going to be a special show. My channel says, what I mean is flipping through shorts, there will be a randomly inserted live stream. Oh, okay. However, the news I'm getting, the research I'm getting on marketing is that shorts is kind of like the way to go because you know how TikTok is huge? Well, I think this is YouTube's way to, like, it's YouTube's form of short TikTok style videos. So anyway, let me grab those old comics. Hang on. All right, this could be extremely embarrassing. I am gonna, first off, this is a really old folder and it's, you know, got some stuff in it here. These are some of the old comics. There's a bunch of drawings and stuff. Like here is a character that I made in like 3rd grade. Ice Phantom. He's cool. He can shoot ice. And that costume, I mean, compare that to like, I don't know, I'm not sure my work is that much better now. That costume is kind of a ripoff or an amalgamation of like Spider-Man. It's in blue. Can you see the Spider-Man design there a bit? It's kind of like that, right? So anyway, let me dig into the magic folder. The best one in here is actually a comic book that I did with one of my best friends. And we were in junior high or middle school at the time. So both of our drawing skills were better at that time. I'm sorry, my name is on a lot of these, so I'm just kind of trying to fish through and see. Oh, my son made a funny comic book when he was really little too. So I will. He made a character that. Hold on a second. This is Tootmot. So anyway, let's see what I can find. Hang on. Talks amongst yourselves. Okay, what do we got here? The Demolisher of Evil. That is pretty cool. This is hideous. This one was done in like crayon. I don't know. I can't even show you. This is just way too bad. I'm sorry for teasing you guys. I promise. Here we go. This one's not terrible. The all-new Mighty Men. Isn't that wicked cool? Check it out, man. And I colored it with colored pencil. So, and look at the staples in there, man. I'm telling you, this is high-tech stuff. So anyway, I think that's all that I'll do for that. Unfortunately, we can't really go down memory lane much more. I don't want to lose subscribers, okay? Tootmot. Blessed. Very good, very good. I mean, how old was my son when he did that Tootmot? Gosh, 5, 6-ish, somewhere around there. You know, in a 5-year-old's mind, they could just make up anything, you know. Anyway, excuse me. So let's get back to serious drawing. We're serious artists here. All right. Hope you guys enjoyed the poetry reading a little bit there. Yep. I think it's noble that Nullis is sort of creating a platform for poetry. It's big part of our history, and it's just not something that we do anymore, that we see much anymore. He says he's gonna get back to the show. He's gonna start it up again. It's funny how like everybody's got life issues going on, you know? It's just kind of slows us down a lot, you know? To an extent, that is a thing, you know. That is kind of an issue of like, you got a full-time job or whatever, this and that, and like, excuse me, Nullis's shows take a lot of preparation. I mean, I'm basically just drawing. I can do the drawing on the show. You know what I mean? It doesn't have to be. I don't have to do like hours of research or. I mean, there's certain shows that I have done that I will do that do require some prep. I sometimes wonder, like, who are my subscribers? You know what I mean? Like, are they our guys? Or are they not? You know, I don't know. Doesn't entirely matter because it's just gonna keep doing what I do. I'm kind of fascinated with how you can say something kind of like political in a comic book or a song, but if you say it sort of directly on social media, then like you can get canceled. But if it's couched in artwork, well, it's safe. Explicitly learned. There you go. So this little bit in the story here is a kind of a media. In the story, there's like a sort of a TV show of a rally with the MAGA force, and they're kind of introducing the different characters and what they do. And this, this guy is kind of like a human rocket. That's sort of his thing. His motif. So I'm gonna have all these rockets around him and give a sense of him flying. It's kind of fun, cool stuff. I'm not even sure this music is still synthwave. I might kind of run and take a look at it. I could go for some fash wave right now, to be honest. Just kind of pick up the pace a little bit. Maybe I'll quickly jump over to the computer. See what I can get out of that. It's a little goofy to me, this music here. Tootmot. Maybe I'd better create the Tootmot character and carry on the story. Ulfric is here! Awesome sauce. Let's see what Ulfric has to say. Oops, sorry. Gunship and the Midnight are great choices for synthwave. I think is Gunship. He does kind of fash wave too, as far as I can recall. I'm gonna check the comments super quick here. Sorry for the shaky camera. Explicitly learned. Ulfric says checking in. Hope all's good with everyone. Also dig the music choice, Don. Cool. All right. Carpenter Brute maybe would be cool. Equal says, wow, looking great. Cool. Thank you. Ulfric says, gunship and da-da-da. We did that. Okay, I'll be right back. Little music investigation. I actually have a fash wave kind of playlist. Maybe I can pull that up. Is there any difference between fash wave and vril wave? I don't know. I'm going to do the rest of the show with an English accent. No commercials in my space. Sorry, shut your face. Commercials, the beginning of my existence. All right, here we go. Pick it up. There's a little bit of water. Pardon me. So, boy. All right, we're back. We've had some kind of interesting discussions. We're talking about anime. Um, there's one anime that my son loves, and I'm not sure I know. I could turn that music up more, but I think it's called like Machine Gun Head or Machine. No, not Machine. Sorry, Chainsaw Face or Chainsaw Head. If you guys are hip to like, I don't know, some of the weirder things that are going on out there, that's one. And you know, I ask him stuff like, hey, what are you looking at? What are you checking out these days? And then he'll show me like, oh, there's this new game or there's a new anime or something. Excuse me. And I just try to stay kind of in touch with stuff that he likes. And Chainsaw Face is this crazy, ridiculous anime. I guess it was like a manga comic book, and then they made a anime cartoon out of it. And I don't know. I sort of feel like if I were his age, I probably would love it too. Kind of. I don't know why I can be into this, but to me, like Chainsaw Face is just too ridiculous. You know, this is fantasy too. You know. But there's some kind of a like a teen angst type energy to it. Sort of like I don't know how to call it, but it's like teenage boy emotionally tortured mentality or something that like really resonates with these guys, you know. And the other side of it though is that the concepts in the animation is phenomenal, and regardless of how insane it is, like you ever hear of Tetsuo the Iron Man? That's a cult classic Japanese film, and it's essentially I don't know if it's just one guy or like several people, but it's this weird kind of technophilia where this guy either he's changing or he does these surgeries on himself where he has like machine parts built into him, and it's crazy. It's super crazy. I remember seeing some of it years ago and thinking like again it's like one of these Mondo kind of films where it's like uber violent and gross and you know has all this kind of this quality to it that people seem to like. It's not my cup of tea, but still fascinating in its own right. Oh, and the funny part of that story is that I was at a Comic Con and there was a dude dressed up as Chainsaw Face. He made the out of like cardboard or something. You know, he made the mask of it, and then he had that kind of like Japanese school boy uniform or something. I don't, whatever. It was exactly the same thing. So like, I took a photo, you know, and shot it, texted it to my son, and he was like, "Yes," you know. It was just a neat little moment, you know. So, I guess I'll talk a little on some serious stuff here. There's a concern that I have, I guess, that I feel like with the conflict in Israel, Palestine right now, regardless of the fact that it's all controlled theater, you know, um, I feel that this is going to usher in a new situation, a new paradigm, and that, you know, it's kind of part of the whole like shutdown 2024 election through emergency powers. I mean, I think that what I'm saying is, you know, reasonable, that one could see like, yeah, that's probably going to happen, like all the pieces fit. Nobody knows the future. You can't really, get too carried away or whatever with it. But I will say it's upsetting. It's nerve-wracking. What are your takes? Let me get your thoughts on that. Actually, that would really make a good discussion. Do you feel that the conflict in Israel right now is going to trigger America getting into war in the Middle East? What are the chances that that's going to happen? That I would like to know your opinion on. So please toss that in the chat if you would. I think that we know that, if that does happen, it seems very likely to happen, that there's going to be a lot of stepping up of, or cracking down, I guess, on free speech, on people in our sphere. At least that's kind of my feeling about it. I don't see how that would not happen, And if that does happen, how should we as a movement handle it? What should our strategy be, to kind of get through that without being abused, by the system? Can we? Is that even possible? Damn it. I'm gonna check the chat, see what you guys have to say on that topic. Oh boy, this music just kicked in, huh? All right. If they ban a new word, we just create a new one. Okay. Equal says, well, looking great. Well, I guess there's nothing new in the chat. If and when that ever happens, the country breaks up. Yeah, I feel that's a very possible thing. That's how likely, I don't know. Very likely, maybe. My thoughts on that is kind of like, I've never thought that we should give the other side an inch. There's a lot of talk about like, okay, national divorce, states breaking away, and these are reasonable conversations to have under the circumstances. Tricky stuff, though. Tricky stuff. I guess my biggest fear is that if, for example, America somehow broke up into sort of regions that became new countries, what would foreign powers do in reaction to that? You know what I'm saying? Like, I can certainly hear certain people saying, "Oh, that'll never happen." Da 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 da. Fine, I'm not saying it's going to happen. Um, and at this point, it's like, does the will of the people even matter? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just shit's so ridiculous at this point. Can it even happen? I don't know. That's crazy shit. Suddenly the music stopped. Oh no, okay, it's back. Let's see where you guys are looking. I guess my thinking is that, like, thinking that we control this country is an illusion. That, like, states breaking apart from the federal government or something is thinking that we can do that. I really, I don't know. I'm doubtful about that. I know it's complex, and I certainly don't have any kind of knowledge to speak sort of intelligently on the topic. So it's just all pontification. This particular song, I'm gonna probably have to fast forward because it's like a 10-hour loop. It's like maybe 10 hours of this techno song is not gonna work because I'm going 10 more hours of drawing. No, that's not true. Geez, it's Friday. I should go out, right? Hmm. Hmm. I haven't thought that. See, I do that all the time. I'll be like, oh shit, it's Friday night. Let me call somebody or see what's going on, and then like people have already made plans and they're gone. It's like you gotta kind of prepare ahead of time. Not so sure I want to go into the city or do a lot of driving, but it would be nice to have some social time. All right, I will change this because I know you guys are probably getting a little. Maybe it's too much. Oh, I see we've got some more comments here. Let me jump into that in a second. All right, wrap it up. Yes, I know. Now you're talking. All right, that's the music I needed. All right, let's go back here. Checking the chat. The country breaks up. Ulfric says Russia and China both look to be having a democratic collapse soon. Demographic collapse soon. I'm aware of that. So I don't think they're as big a threat as government makes them out to be. I think the American government is the biggest threat to the American people right now. And I don't have to go into detail there. Ulfric says they will have enough problems at home as they struggle to adjust to having 66 to 50% of the population they once had. I'm aware that China's in some serious trouble economically. Hollandier says, in my eyes, fracturing is bad. I agree with you. Hollandier. Unless Europeans can know themselves certain to possess and control the strongest part. But I think it's more likely for foreign elements to battle for the Semitic thrones. Interesting point. Very, very good point. Hollander in each part. Hollander says, sorry, bad English, no good. And then it's got some Chinese on here. You know, I speak some Mandarin, but I don't read it. So I can see, I'm saying 不好. 我的英文不好. Is that what that says? I think that says my English is bad. I think that's what you're saying. Anyway, Ulfric says, here comes the drop. I was looking for, love this song. Oh, cool. Yeah, this is some good stuff. What's that Korean anime that this song goes with? You know, where they have this kind of like, I don't know what to call them, like, I don't know, proto-Nazi techno guys with the helmets and the red eyes, and you guys all know what I'm talking about. Anyway, here's another interesting topic. In one of the groups that I'm in, let me make sure you guys can see what I'm doing. There is Jinro. Very good. See, you're so on top of it, man. See, if I could only be half as cool as you, I would know these things. Anyway, so one of the chat groups that I'm in, one of the guys brought up an interesting point. We talk about fascism a good bit in our circles, but he was saying, you know, like, we really should stop or reconsider that. Do we really want a system that is an authoritative government, that, you know, the government enforces that certain policies everybody has to follow? And on the face of it, you would say, of course, of course we don't want that, right? What's missing from the conversation is that, and this is what most educated people know in our sphere, is that the fascism was first a philosophy by Giovanni Gentile, and the philosophy centered around God, family, nation. And of course, we also know that the ideology of fascism was a reaction to communism. So, yes, both communism and fascism are authoritarian, totalitarian. That's a whole other topic, is people not knowing how to use words properly. Totalitarian just means a government that is using its power to, to have total control. It doesn't say for what. You see what I'm saying? So, like, the ideology and the value system of communism is the polar opposite of the value system of fascism. According to, if we look at it from the philosophy of Giovanni Gentile. So it's more complex than that. Syndicalism, you have different countries have their own histories. And so what I'm trying to get at is that I think where I'm at the moment is that I feel like if in America there's people that want to enforce like Marxist ideas on the population, and there's people who want to enforce fascist values on the population, let each of them have their own states. And that if people really want to live under that ideology, they can go move to that state. And then it's kind of, history will pan itself out, so to speak. That, if it works, it works, and those states will be successful. If it doesn't, those states will fail. And it's kind of the proof is in the pudding type situation. You know what I'm saying? So, but either way you look at it is the thought of, America's big enough to, people who want X can live in X land, and people who want Y can live in Y land. We don't have to sort of force things on people. Nobody really wants anything forced on them. That's in itself not really American in its nature, I suppose. I could be wrong, and I'm open to debate on this topic, but I think America is, I guess, a constitutional culture that, to some extent, you could say that is innately libertarian. I'm not libertarian, but I'm just making an observation. So I think this would be an interesting discussion. But I feel as if, like, these extremes of totalitarianism, or rather fascism versus communism, Marxism, etc., they create each other. Whereas kind of people who are sort of wanting to live on their own terms, they're more of the mindset of leave me alone kind of thing, and granted that you guys know I'm not. Yeah, shut up. I don't want commercials on my show. You're not going to use my platform to sell your garbage, so I'll have to sing a little song. This song is called I Don't Like Commercials. Ooh, there's a tune. I'm probably going to get like a YouTube ban for having this on, though, so I'm going to have to kind of go change it, unfortunately. I do love this song, though. It's all right. All right, let's get past that. Give me a second here, fellers. What's funny is, like, you could play a song by a Fashwave guy, and they'll be like, yeah, I don't know who that is, so whatever. But play a song by a popular band, and then, we're going to have to shut that down. So here's not a well-known band, but a very freaking cool song. Moving on. Man, this is a long stream, guys. I'm really impressed that you're hanging out with me. What else we got? Jinro, Say, Sway. Vincentino is here. How we doing? How's it going, Vincentino? Thanks for joining us. I don't know what Sway means. I know Shui, which is Chinese for water. Alfric says authoritarian versus totalitarian. All right, let's get back to work here. So, let's see if you guys can see this. Yeah, maybe I'll try to move this a bit. Lila's here. Lila, thanks for joining us. Lila Glaze. That looks so cool. Oh, that's very kind of you. I'm gonna see if I can zoom in a bit more. The camera thingy that I have here is a little clunky. But, okay. Back into this. Thanks for joining me. Lila, are you a subscriber? Or did you just find this channel? I feel like there's a couple new people around, so I'm going to kind of throw out a couple pages here to show you guys, what's going on with this project. This is Militia Man. I suppose I could back out. That would help. Alright. Just going to do a little review. If you go to my site, you'll see kent-art.weebly.com. You will see the Militia Man story is outlined there. I've got issue 1 I'm just kind of wrapping up some of the artwork on that. I want to give away issue 1. I want to have it colored, but we're working on that. We're working on all those things. And it's kind of this. I'll tell you, the story is about a normie Republican MAGA Force superhero team that is sponsored by a news agency called Judeo-Christian News. And they, are in control of the normie conservative Christian right and the narrative of the Christian right versus what I'm calling the cult. And you can see the cult members here doing what they did or what they do, destroying America, attacking Christians, very violent, and how Judeo-Christian News has put together this superhero team to do public services and to save America from the evil cult. And so we're kind of having, sort of a Trump-style rally with, I'm going to back out a touch more, you can see more. Getting to know the characters. Militia Man is with his wife. They just announced they're going to have a baby. So they're kind of celebrating that, and you're getting to know the characters and getting invested in the story. You're learning about the powers of the different characters. Then you get a little back behind the scenes look at behind the cameras in Judeo-Christian news studios, where they're, controlling the cameras and the media and da-da-da. We see a little bit more, and forget about those commercials in the background. I'll talk over it. So we see, Militia Man's talking about the system of how the lawfulness or lawlessness of the cult, and how they're, targeting America, da da da, and then the legal system of how, that's infiltrated, and these bad guys go free, and then they go just right back on the street and commit these crimes, these riots, etc. But MAGA force is here to stop all that, and hooray! So you're getting the general idea about what that is. But then again, back behind the scenes, we see kind of the main dude here, Klaus Saros is his name, and he's got his setup here where he is communicating with the other side and giving. Oh, that commercial's annoying the crap out of me. I have to turn it off. Hold on. Come on. Hold on. And there you go. So this is sort of where we're at. He gets a call that MAGA Force has to go off to fight some crime. And then that's where we're at, where they leave the rally to go to this warehouse to, bust up the cult who are assembling weapons. Let me zoom in a bit more with that. I hope you guys can hear me okay. And then the big old action scene where our boys in MAGA Force kick it. They start to break shit down, and kabam, pow, bam, all that good fun stuff. Teal Duck Slime 2014. Good to have you here. Teal Duck Slime. That's funny. I was just taking a walk, and we got a lot of geese around here, and they have all these like blue poops everywhere. It's kind of weird. Why did I say that? I don't know. I must be crazy. Anyway, happy to have you here, Teal. I'll just call you Teal. We got, for some reason, yeah, that ad was long and it was annoying. Anyway, it's gone. Bubbles is here. That is so cool. Well, golly gee, I am so happy that you're here joining us, Bubbles. I'm feeling bubbly now. So, and this music is making me extra bubbly. I hope I don't get a strike later for it, though. I don't know if I will. Anyway, I'm gonna get back to work here. I think this shot's really fun right here. This character here, Flexo, he's like the comedy relief of the group. That's anyway. It's kind of fun. It's sort of a classic superhero paradigm, not paradigm, trope, I guess. Stretchy guy, an archer, muscle man. This is kind of like Iron Man, Hulk, Hawkeye, and Mr. Fantastic from Fantastic Four. Now, the terrible thing is that these guys get killed. I'm sorry. I'm a bad person. I'm terrible. It is Lila. I just changed username. Well, welcome back. Glad to have you here again. I'm trying to do more shows. Excuse me. I had some life issues there for a while, and I had to work through that stuff. I kind of fell off the radar, fell off the edge of the earth, and now I'm trying to get it back. So, like, having you guys here is super motivating, so I appreciate that. So I'm going to zoom in and try to get this in view. That last bit there, if you heard it from the song, was part of Stanley Kubrick's. Oh man, I can't do commercials, guys. I'm sorry. Hang tight. Sorry. I might have to go back to Synthwave. I really like that energy though. But the Synthwave is just like, 5 hours of Synthwave, so I don't have to deal with these interruptions. I apologize. I appreciate your patience. If you want to suggest some music, that is totally cool. You can completely do that. But we're getting right back to Synthwave. This is kind of cool stuff. And my computer is buffering. So while we're waiting, I'll show you a book that I'm reading that I highly recommend. Aldebaran Vril, 1917 Extraterrestrials, Message to Maria Orsich and the Birth of the First German-Made UFO, 5th edition. So I'm getting really into this author, Maximilien de Lafayette, French guy. He was on UFO Hunters. I mean, I don't know. Of course, the music won't go. Anyway, they asked him, like, what's your resource for this intel on UFOs? And he said, if I tell you, then you'll never see me again. Okay. So, one has to question things. You have to go about everything like a detective or a lawyer or something. You have to be able to show, is this factual? So when I look at stuff like that, I try to corroborate it with other information that's available. There are tons of photographs and just reference material in the book. So if anyone's interested in that, I recommend it. Okay, and we're back. It's funny because when I'm inking, I'm in the zone, I guess, and once in a while I'll go back and I'll watch a show that I did, or not a whole show, but like, you know, some of it to just get a sense of like, well, how did that sound or how did it look or whatever. And I find myself getting like captivated by just the visuals of watching the art, and so I think that's kind of nice. Let's see what we got here. Teal says, "I love it. Cool." There is. Well, that is so cool. Okay, hey, Keenan Naziri is here. Welcome, Keenan. Good to have you, my man. Paint the Sky is here. This is amazing. Well, golly gee, I don't know if you guys just showed up. I just did like a whole review of the book with all the different pages. I mean, not this is only issue 1. It's a 5-issue. Uh, I don't want to call it a series because I'm trying to put it together just as one big graphic novel. But if you go to kent-art.weebly.com, you can see much more information about it, plus my book. I got a lot of friends in the audience right now, enjoying the show, enjoying the chat. I'm wide open for any kind of conversation or questions. The most interesting question I got today was, what's your favorite country? And I'm still contemplating the answer to that. I can't say I have a favorite country. I think that's kind of... I would say that there's countries I'll never go to. That's a much easier... that's a much easier thing to say. There's countries I'd like to... I'm interested in, I'm curious about... that, sort of bucket list, maybe someday kind of thing. Chile, Argentina, like deep South America. I would love to go to places like Brazil, but I think they're too dangerous. I know that it's not all that way. It's a big country. I have a friend that lived in Ecuador. I interviewed a guy from Peru on the show. It goes by the name Zero Schizo. You'd have to dig back into my archives of this YouTube to find that interview, but it's a good interview. Make sure that's centered enough for you. There's nothing really in Central America that I think I can't say I'm interested to go there, but I feel that South America has some... I really would enjoy going to a lot of those UFO sites, I think those are pretty amazing. I could definitely do Japan again. I lived there for a year on an exchange program in college. I have a friend who lives in Thailand that's asking me to come. And it's one of these, like, I'll set you up, give you anything you need, and you'll live like a king. And I actually did travel in Thailand for a vacation for 2 weeks. So I sort of feel like I did that, I'm not... I read a book on Cambodia years ago called Off the Rails in Phnom Penh. Off the Rails in Phnom Penh. It's like Hunter S. Thompson in Cambodia. Try to imagine that, like crazy. I'm not into that type of lifestyle, where, let's go to Cambodia and just, do crazy things, I'll stop there. I think that's enough. But I am interested in Angkor Wat. I just actually watched a bit of what is it, documentary on Angkor Wat yesterday, because I was actually, I was thinking about the time when I visited a temple from the Angkor Wat civilization, the Khmer civilization, while I was in Thailand. And I was trying to find it on the map because there's a whole story about how it's in the, what's it called? What's it called? The Golden Triangle. And I didn't know about the Golden Triangle when I went there. The guy I was traveling with just had like Lonely Planet guide, and we were looking for temples, and this looks neat. Let's go here. And then we're traveling through there, and why are there all these military checkpoints? Like, why are we, and it's a crazy story. I'll tell it another time. It's a long story. I could have gotten killed. I'm very, very lucky to have survived that. I did live to tell the tale, so that's good news. But the lesson, in a sense, is like, if you're traveling internationally, know your shit. Like, don't just flake off from here to there. And a young friend of mine recently is saying, "Oh, I want to move to Costa Rica," and okay, I'm sure that's nice, but have you looked into anything to do with that? Like, how safe is it? If you get sick, what are you gonna do? Or do you know anyone there? What's the political situation? Like, I'll stop there. I think you guys get the idea. But Europe is really where I want to go. I feel like Eastern Europe is probably a lot safer. Am I wrong to think that? At the same time, it feels like Europe is about to pop off with like a major revolution, civil war, some kind of shit like that. The French authorities are beating the shit out of the Palestinian protesters. I think I saw something like that in England as well. I just saw something in the news about that. We're getting close, guys. We're getting close. I'm gonna check the chat, see if you guys are saying mean things about me. Let's see. The sky, this is amazing. Where is the like button? I'm sure there's I've already gotten 14 thumbs up. It's like, woohoo, 14, Small potatoes, Donald Kent over here. Beer Singe Torix. I feel like I'm not saying your name right, but Beer Singe Torix, if I'm saying it right, welcome. Thank you for coming. I'm here to say my name. Beer Singe Torix. Or Bear Singe Torix. All right, welcome, welcome, welcome. I like the icon, the Celtic swirls there. Mind, body, spirit, beautiful. Paint the Sky says, I'll just subscribe. Please do. Also, click the notifications, because I don't do this show at the same time every day. I, full-time job, single dad, all that fun stuff. So you never know. It's going to be mostly evenings. Beer Singe Torix has ever heard of Vercingetorix? No, I'm sorry. You can tell me about it. What is that? He defeated Caesar at Gergovia. Is that somewhere in Germany, present-day Germany? I would maybe guess so. And that is cool. Big, how do I say? A lot of friends that are pagans, and I don't even like using the word pagan. I think like Asatru, but druids are pagans. Since I'm mostly Celtic, I'm gonna turn the music down here. I feel like I'm yelling. Hold on a second. Okay. Excuse me. A little water. Since I'm mostly Celtic, I feel like I should try to look into Druidism, you know? Colin Bruder says there's a proverb in Germany: the dumbest farmer has the biggest potatoes. So having small potatoes seems rather in advantage. Well, small potatoes is an expression in American English. If you say that he's small potatoes, that means he's not famous, he's not a big influencer, he's not well known, he's small potatoes. It's just an old expression. I don't know if they use it in England, but it's certainly known in America. And I honestly, I was more influential in the white identity sphere. If you look at, excuse me, look at my playlists, look at a Imperium Art show list, you'll see a lot of bigger influences on there. Da da da. Hippocratic Oath says Costa Rica has excellent hospitals, lots of expats here. When you say here, it sounds like you're there. Have you been there before? That may be why my friend says she wants to go there, because it's got an expat community. I got the English twist, but I like our way of putting it better. Well, there you go. I will accept that. So, influence. Do I want to have influence? What kind of influence do I want to have? I think that at this point in the game, I see kind of two things. Like, one is being there for this community, being a support, a kind of moralization, creating culture for people in the white identity movement. And it's not, exclusively that. It doesn't have to be. There's if people are coming to this channel and they don't sort of know or identify with that, they're certainly welcome. And I think there's a lot of content here still for them. I'm like, open door policy or whatever. I think that I would love it if I could somehow help to create more racial awakening among whites. That is a huge thing for me. How to make that happen? Very, very hard, very difficult to do. And probably well beyond the scope of what I could do in terms of whatever resources. However, the tides are turning, and they're turning fast. The normie world, or if you want to call it, or the kind of like what's going on in our political spheres, the doors are opening more and more and more and more. You guys probably know Joel Davis. He's one of the best, most outspoken people in the white identity movement. He was posting something to a Charlie Kirk interview where, and forgive me for forgetting the guy's name because you don't know everybody in the movement, but Charlie Kirk just had a guy on his show who is an outspoken race realist. So, when you have people like Charlie Kirk giving the platform for race realists, it's a good sign. It shows change. It shows progress. And there's bits of that happening more and more here and there. And then on the other sort of end of the spectrum, this always happens. I'm talking about something and I can't remember the guy's name. He's that Asian dude. They say he lives in Malaysia. He's a huge influencer in the conservative sphere on Twitter. I could like jump on my computer and look up his. He's a pretty ugly guy. He's kind of a frumpy, weird face. I bet you somebody in the chat's gonna say, "Oh, so," and I'll be like, "Oh yeah, that guy." He recently had a post where somebody was like criticizing him as being a gatekeeper, and then his reaction was, quote, "Enjoy your replacement." And then that totally took the mask off, showed what a piece of shit that he is. And this is the way it works. Like, there's all these people out there that appear to be on our side, but they're really not, So we got some convo going down over here. I'm gonna look in the chat some more. Wow, you guys are cooking here. Let's go into the chat. Subscribe. Defeated Caesar. Gaul, France. Yeah, I really have to spend some time in France. I have a really close friend there I can stay with. Colin says there's a proverb. Oh, we did that. Costa Rica. I think the chat with. I think I used to chat with you in Eke Lux chat stream. Oh, I know Eke Lux. He's one of the characters out there, and certainly friends or friendly. I don't know him personally or something like that, but big supporter. Yeah, we get around, right? It's tough to know everyone everywhere. Collins says, I like to call it snowflake country. Oaf says, I'm a programmer, but I bought a farm in the mountains when the U.S. went insane over the coup. Only Mexico and Costa Rica didn't require even a test to get in. Wow. Bok Choy Miles. Yeah, Bok Choy Miles. You know who I'm talking about. Miles Chung. Yeah, there he goes. And like, I have liked him for the longest time. I followed him a ton and, shared lots of his posts. So it's like, just because someone kind of, calls out the left or the globalists or says the things that we agree with, if they're saying things like enjoy your replacement, what the fuck is that? I mean, imagine a Chinese person telling a Tibetan person, enjoy your replacement. Imagine a Jew telling a Palestinian, enjoy your replacement. What the fuck? What the fuck shit is this? It's like, it's so creepy and low, and it's, I don't know, I don't want to go off on that too much. Ian Miles Chung, yeah, that fruit of green bean, I'm not sure what that refers to, but anyway, moving on in the wonderful world of comics. All right, so I'm gonna share an idea with you guys, and you give me your thoughts on this. So I've got this project, right? It's a big project. Certainly will take a long time to complete. And there's the whole, like, finish what you started, but I've got this other script that is like burning a hole in me right now because it's way more plugged into the new paradigm of where we are. And I'm thinking it would really be cool to do that new story as a weekly webcomic where, I'll put out a couple pages for starters just to hook the audience into the narrative. and then each week do a whole page with all the text. And I'm not going to be able to color it due to time and finances at the moment. I could have it colored later, but I would have it like more tonal. It'd be richer in tone and would have a stronger sense of like fullness and completion to it. I'm trying to see if there's anything nearby. Like, hang on a sec. Try to give you an example of like stories that have tone to them, that are like, yeah, that sort of grayscale. It's a little on the goofy side, but you see how the grayscale works in here, and it just feels a little more complete, as if it's colored. Now, granted, my art's not going to look just like that. This is one of those Filipino artists I was talking about, Rudy Nebrez. Huge fan of him. Anyway, I think you get the idea. It's a thing. So I'm like, should I stop this story that I'm doing now and start that one, or should I just stick to this? Let's see what we got. Bear says, just scan your work in and have AI colored. Oh my God. I just downloaded Arvin app. It's a comics app. Oh my God, I never thought about that. Ooh. Well, I will look into that. Is there a specific AI that can do that you know of? If you could tell me, that'd be wicked. Wicked cool. So the new story would be very much about Agenda 21, the UN goals for depopulation and for setting up the entire new world order by 2030. It's a science fiction, but it would have a lot of what already exists. It'd be kind of very much based in what's already going on. So much so that anybody could see it, like, and kind of plug into it, pretty much like write a fiction-y kind of narrative structure. This here is, superheroes, and I feel I actually did a poll on Twitter about like people in the right wing, like what kind of genres do you like? And like post-apocalyptic, Blade Runner, that kind of stuff is what they like. And the trick with a lot of that is that it's kind of demoralizing. It's sort of showing us in a dark, hopeless, dead future, where it's too late, and and I don't want to. That's not my purpose. Is to the Jews are already doing that with Hollywood, so I'm trying to counteract that narrative. So there is it's like, I don't really, I can't like give the idea away, but let's suffice to say there's a positive side to the story that kind of balances out, you know. Um, See, when I started MAGA Force, that was the thing. Is I was like, okay, I'm plugged into the zeitgeist. 2024 election's coming. I want to get this out before the election. Again, I had some massive life events happen to me that I had to deal with since May, but I'm bouncing back now, and I would have been probably halfway done with this at least had I if I didn't have those problems. But anyway, I guess you can't comment if you don't know what it is that the story is, so maybe I shouldn't have asked. So, is white unity a topic that, or a project that we should try to pursue? Or is it just impossible? Is there too much going on with the brainwashing? Is the West, you know, is it going to split? What's your view on that topic? So we're going to look at some of the chat here. Hold on a sec. Okay. AI coloring, great idea. Thanks, man. Not off the top of my head, my fave comic artist is Joe Madureira. I know who that is, and I'm sorry I'm not pronouncing his name. And he's great. Yes, of course, I've heard of him. I've never had to say his name out loud, though. So thanks for embarrassing me. Jeez, I can't even believe it. Let's see. He used to work on Uncanny X-Men back in the day. Yeah, he's super famous in the X-Men world for sure, and you know, cool style, very good style. The Orsich book again is Aldebaran Vril. Let me back out a hair, and you guys can see it better. This guy has like 12 books that are all sort of related to that topic. I'm going to be picking up at least probably 2 more of them. But mind-blowing, mind-blowing. Let's see. Aldebaran, Planet of the Extraterrestrial Beings of Light. NASA sent a message to the people of Aldebaran and another one via Pioneer. So this book has... It's intense. It's one of the most amazing books that I've ever had the pleasure of reading. I haven't finished it. Crazy stuff, dude, in this book. Talks about like the aliens' messages that were telepathically passed on through Marie Orsich. Massive amounts of various things. Aldebaran's metaphysical revelations to Maria Orsich. Wow. I mean, this is some heavy stuff. Massive amounts of like background on ancient history, Mesopotamia, a lot of things explained, ancient alien stuff. Some of that is pretty far out for me even, and I'm pretty far out, but it's pretty heavy stuff. The Vril, Stairway to Heaven. No, Led Zeppelin is not in this book. The meaning of the number 6 in Anunnaki Phoenician alphabets. Let's see, epistemology and etymology. It's so crazy. This is such a good book. Talks about the technology of the UFOs. There's a lot of this kind of stuff. I mean, some of this stuff's on the internet. The crazy part about it is that, sorry for that. When there were certain, I think at Project Paperclip, or when the Nazi scientists were taken into the American government, they got a lot of this information, this specific information from the Vril Society, and it's all locked up. So it's hard to get access to that info. Let's see. Ian Miles Chong was a character in the drama corner of the internet for a bit. He's been a constant fake looking for a niche. Ignore that tard. All right. Well, thanks for saving me some time. Colin says, once you've started a project, you pull through, but that's just my Prussian discipline talking. I know, it's driving me nuts. The thing is, this is going to sound crazy, but over the last 7-8 years, I've written and tried to do various comics projects, and all of them have been sort of prophetic. Like I predicted this, and then it happened. And I know that sounds crazy, and I'm not trying to say I can predict the future. I can't, but I think maybe it was more just thinking through, the current situation, and this is likely to happen, and then it happened, and I've got that going with this new script, so I feel like I want to get it out, but I don't know. It's a pain. Let's just start it. So D2017, thank you for coming, joining the chat, being with us. A few minutes behind, by the way. I got a dog flash banged and killed squatting someone here. What? I got a dog flash banged, and okay. Something's up with that. I don't know if that's... I don't know really how to respond to that. Vance AI can color your comic art. Okay. Vance AI. I gotta write this down. Hold on. Okay. Vance. VANCEAI. Colored comic. All right. Dude, that would be sick. That would be so sick if I could just press a button and then save, I don't know, thousands of dollars. My channel says, where did you get your copy from? The internet. You're gonna have to like screenshot this or something, look up, this title, the name, Maximilien de Lafayette, and this is just the tip of the iceberg. There's so many other books that he has. Leave the Extraterrestrials Alone, UFOs Are Man-Made, The United States Alien Incomprehensible Affair, The Government's Secret Files on Aliens, Pentagon Interview with Alien Hybrid, 1952 German UFO Tour de Force over Washington, D.C., The Real Story of the Great Airship Scare, USA Aliens Meeting and True Nature of UFOs. So that's one. Some of this stuff's pretty controversial, my friends. Alien abduction, genetic creation of human hybrids race, Anunnaki genetic creation of the human race, gods, angels, demons, spirits, So I'm interested in these things. I'm not here to preach or tell people what to believe. Project Paperclip, thank you for pointing that out. Imperial Crusader, gotta go. All right, good to have you here, my man. I think you're in England, so it's gotta be pretty late there now. D2 says, I put he got a dog, Chung. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I didn't read that. I apologize. Okay, got that wrong. Ian Chong, killed a dog? Is that? I didn't do that. Shit. Okay, sorry. Hey, typos happen. I'm notorious for them. I would never hurt a dog. No, God, no. We love dogs here. Why did it say I? If you're doing voice to text, it just screws up a lot. I don't know if you're on your phone or what, but we're cool. Everything's cool. We love you. Okay, I'm American. Take care. All right. Have yourself a good evening. This is a really long stream. Do you guys want me to keep going? Because I want to keep drawing. I don't know what time it is even. It's dark out. No. Maybe I'll go for a bit longer. If you guys are up for it. What time is it anyway? Yeah. When, it's October now, so sun goes down earlier. It feels a lot later. You know what? I changed my mind. I'm going to wrap it up. This has been a really cool show and a lot of really interesting people. So I'm very, very, very happy that you guys are joining. I would hit the notification button. That's the thing to do. Because until I'm heading towards organizing my time more. It's coming into place, falling into place. But if you enjoy the shows, you want to get into some interesting conversation, hit the notify button. That's the way to go with this channel. You guys make the show because you're cool. You bring in interesting conversation, and we get to interact with each other. So more of that. All right, my friends. God bless. Have a good night and take care.